What if I told you the future of the entire global economy? We're talking over $10 trillion in trade, supply chains, and financial clout now hangs on a single triangle? Nope, not NATO, not BRICS. We're talking about the uneasy, unpredictable, and rapidly changing relationship between India, China, and the United States. And look, this isn't just some abstract geopolitical game. This is about your job, the inflation rate, and the cost of pretty much everything you buy.
So why is the whole world suddenly watching this triangle so closely? Well, it's because every major economic shock we're feeling today, from supply chains getting snarled up, to the price of semiconductors, to the safety of the shipping lanes, it all comes down to how these three nations either work together or collide. To really wrap our heads around what's at stake, we first need to get the role each of these powers plays in the global system. See, each one holds a different, absolutely vital piece of the economic puzzle. First up, you've got the United States. You can think of it as the architect of the world's financial system and the undisputed leader in designing high-end technology. I'm talking about companies like NVIDIA and Qualcomm. They don't always make all the chips, but they design the brains behind them, and that gives the US just immense leverage. Then, of course, there's China, the world's factory. The sheer scale here is just staggering. It accounts for almost 28% of all global manufacturing. But, and this is a big but, that engine is facing a major slowdown, with growth targets hitting historic lows. That's forcing Beijing to completely rethink its economic playbook. And that brings us to the third point of the triangle, India. Right now, it's the fastest growing large economy on the entire planet, and it's powered by a massive demographic dividend. Basically, a huge, young population that's ready to work. This puts India in the perfect position to become the world's next potential manufacturing hub, a clear alternative to China. So you've got the financial engine, the factory, and the rising powerhouse. But this tension isn't just some slow-moving economic race. That $10 trillion figure is actually tied to a single explosive geopolitical flashpoint that could bring the whole global economy to its knees. So where does that almost unbelievable number even come from? It's not just the total value of trade between these countries. No, it's the estimated cost of a single catastrophic event. This is what's on the line. According to Bloomberg Economics, a full-blown conflict over Taiwan could vaporize $10 trillion from the global economy. That's 10% of global GDP, just gone. And get this, even just a blockade without a single shot fired would still cost $2.7 trillion. This is the real heart of the tension. And why is Taiwan the trigger? Well, this number says it all. 92% of the world's most advanced semiconductors, the tiny chips that power our phones, our cars, data centers, AI, literally everything, are made in Taiwan. A conflict there doesn't just mess with trade. It basically turns off the entire digital world. Now, this incredible risk is causing a massive, massive reshuffling, which brings us to a really crucial question. In the long run, who do you think gains the most from this new dynamic? India, China, or the US? I really want to know what you think, so drop your answer in the comments. I'm reading every single one. Okay, so faced with this $10 trillion risk, these three powers aren't just competing anymore. They're actively and aggressively rewiring the entire world's financial and trade structures to protect themselves and hopefully get an edge. Let's see how this is playing out. On one side, you've got the US putting up a tech blockade, using chip restrictions to slow down its rivals and friendshoring supply chains to allies like India. On the other side, China is pushing like crazy for self-reliance. And it's not just about tech, it's about securing new trade routes to get around US influence and, critically, reduce its dependency on the US dollar. This push is especially urgent for China, given its own internal economic pressures, something we actually dug into in our explainer on China's silent banking crisis. And right in the middle of this giant tug of war, you have India, which has become the world's strategic pivot point. As global companies desperately try to de-risk their operations, they're all turning to what's called a China Plus One strategy. And India is the #1 candidate for that plus one. And hey, this isn't just some theory. The money is already on the move. Foreign direct investment into India is surging. It's projected at $81 billion, which is up 14% year on year. This is a real, tangible sign that the rewiring of global supply chains is happening right now. So, this global competition is playing out across a few key battlegrounds. Semiconductors, the brains of our modern world. Energy routes, the lifelines of industry.
critical shipping corridors, especially in the Indo-Pacific, rare earth minerals, which are vital for green tech, and of course, the flow of foreign investment. Whoever manages to dominate these pressure zones will effectively control the next economic era. Okay, so we've got these massive geopolitical shifts happening. But how does this redrawing of the world's economic map actually affect you, your wallet, and your country? Let's bring it all back home. Let's break it down. For India, the opportunity is huge. Massive foreign investment, big gains in manufacturing. But the risk? Higher energy costs and potential regional conflict. For the US, it means stronger alliances and less reliance on China. But the risk is short-term inflation and the very high cost of bringing industries back home. And for China, it could gain more influence in the global south, but it risks losing its most valuable Western markets and capital. As you can see, there are no simple winners here. Ultimately, when you boil it all down, the entire global economy now rests on this incredibly delicate balance. The India-China-US triangle isn't just a rivalry anymore. It's the single most important dynamic shaping our world. And whether the next decade brings stability or chaos is going to depend entirely on how these three giants choose to compete and cooperate. All right, so to recap it all in 20 seconds, a $10 trillion system built on decades of globalization is now under enormous stress. Three nations, the US, China, and India, are actively rewiring global power as we speak. And because of all this, the supply chains and trade routes we've always taken for granted are shifting, probably permanently. And that brings us to the next big question. What part of this new reality should we break down next? Should we look at the expansion of BRICS, dive deeper into India's big manufacturing decade? Or should we analyze the future of the US dollar? Let me know which one you want to see. Drop your pick in the comments below. Hey, if you're enjoying these deeper breakdowns, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps the channel grow. And if you want to support our work directly, the Buy Me a Coffee link is down in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next explainer.